there is no need to be doing as an analyst what I used to be doing 30 years ago. If this process can be, taken care of in a matter of minutes, not hours, it's incredible. It's incredible. So I see this as a great tool, and obviously this is the future. It would have been a much better experience. Now, the reality is, we had 8 analysts. We could probably only need 2. That's the thing. So I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I mean, it's unstoppable. Evan, this is the way it's gonna be going forward. I just don't see it any other way. It's just that's stupid. That's stupid.
Okay, very good. We're live. All right, JC. Well, JC, thanks so much for doing this with us. So just to dive right in, I'm with Juan Carlos Uribe. He's a director at Kofco. I'll let him explain his background, but I've known JC. He was actually my first boss at DF Deutsche Forfait, and we worked together for approximately 5 years and remain friends to this day. And happy for to have Juan Carlos here for this first video regarding Truffles, the spreading and investment memo automation technology that we've built and deployed around the world now. And just setting up for full disclosure, this is not an endorsement from Kofco in any way. Although we have agreed to a paid test, we are still in the implementation process. But hopefully, the Kofco credit team has seen the value of this. And we have this call just to use the product with Juan Carlos and hear his opinion. Also, learn a little bit about his background and have a fun discussion about credit and risk analysis. So, JC, over to you. Can you talk about your background, maybe how you started in finance, and
Sure.
what you're doing today?
Sure, Cap. Evan, it'd be a pleasure. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about this product that you guys have put together, and I've basically see the great value. Like you said, I mean, I've been in this business 30 years, and I started off as an analyst at I think my first job was with Barclays, and then with Santander. But I still remember very clearly the need to, it was more like a sweatshop. It was, you had to analyze 2 banks a day or 1 company a day. Because there was just so much information that you had to spread and you had to analyze and you had to obviously come up with ratios. And doing that with a calculator and a computer, the hard way, uh, very challenging. Of course, each spread has to come up, with financials from different type of auditors, the different ways the information was given to you, whether it was a short-term or long-term liability, you didn't really know. Then you had to, make reference to what country you were spreading it, whether it was Ecuador or Brazil. Of course, if it was in Brazil, then it was in Portuguese. A lot of things that basically made this process very tedious. It's a lengthy process, and of course, at some point you can make mistakes too, and you try to replicate, you try to do some sort of cut and paste sometimes because you're trying to save some time. But if this process can be, taken care of in a matter of minutes, not hours, it's incredible. It's incredible. Obviously, this is a process. You need somebody still there managing it, and but you can actually, because it's so quick and it's so efficient and relatively inexpensive to do, then you can actually start looking at smaller deal deals, less profitable deals that don't because the entry to do the analysis is minimal in terms of cost, or like a fixed cost. So I see this as a great tool, and obviously this is the future.
No, thanks a lot, JC. I think where we've had success, also just you touched on smaller deals, which I know, when we work together, sometimes those are the most profitable. Sometimes you can really bet on a company, but yeah, just the barrier to entry to look at that company is so high. It takes as much time to analyze a $2 million credit as it does a $20 million credit. So then you
Correct.
end up favoring larger deals. They aren't necessarily better deals. They aren't necessarily better risk return adjusted deals, right? And you also touched on the language barrier, which is huge. We've been on calls with analysts where we've spread Lithuanian financials where you can't even tell, what an asset and a liability is, right? So, no, I appreciate that intro. And I mean, you definitely touched on what we're trying to do. And I remember, from when we were working together, how you used to complain about this job, right? And now, yeah, I think regardless if you're in a bank or especially if you're in a non-bank financial institution, there's huge benefit in this type of automation. As you said, not to remove the human component, but I mean, don't you think if you were at Barclays, you would have probably had an even better experience if you weren't buried in data extraction and data entry, right? Maybe learning from your more senior colleagues, on the call with the companies. Maybe if someone senior is doing that, or even thinking about the analysis and thinking about the risk as opposed to just crunching numbers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, all this tedious lifting would have been taken care of, and I would have had more time to really, like, compare the ratios, do a more industry comparison, instead of getting ground down, coming up with these numbers and this. Absolutely. It would have been a much better experience. Now, the reality is, we had 8 analysts. We could probably only need two. That's the thing.
Yeah, no,
For
I mean
sure.
that
It
that
would have been.
yeah, I mean that's certainly, in the zeitgeist at the moment, right? And happening for sure at larger institutions. But I think also if you think that JP Morgan's adopting AI, right? How does the smaller credit shop feel, right? I mean, so really one of the missions of Truffles was to, although I don't necessarily like the word, but democratize the ability for this workflow automation. And we're offering this service, right, in different geographies at a very attractive price point. I mean, the pricing. It's definitely, way less than the incremental cost of hiring another person just to
Oh
do
yeah.
these inane tasks, right? So you really, and also we're not so stingy about chairs and all that stuff. Like we want to create a product and solution that works for the whole team, right? So even if you're an originator, and that's something I've discussed with folks, you can screen deals better as an originator. And by the way, JC is probably the best originator I know, in terms of
Oh,
someone who
thank you.
just goes out and grabs business. No, so I mean, why do you rely on? I mean, obviously you have to rely on a credit process, but if the originator can also screen deals, it helps you downstream, right? Because you're trying to weed out the junk, so to speak, and get the better deals in the hands of folks for, like you said, a more in-depth analysis.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way to see it. In that I could just usually, just use Ruffles very quickly as a filter, and if it passes and the ratios are thrown out, then it can be escalated, with minimal cost, and really concentrate on the deals that are most likely going to be approved.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Obviously, people have their way of doing things, and they have their processes. there's always resistance to change and to new technologies. But this is something that I mean, it's unstoppable. Evan, this is the way it's gonna be going forward. I just don't see it any other way. It's there is no need to be doing as an analyst what I used to be doing 30 years ago. You know, spending Saturday mornings going over some spreads and putting data in and coming up with things on an Excel spreadsheet. That's stupid. That's stupid. The computer can do that. No.
No, 100%. So, JC, now we'll dive into an analysis. So we have something that we're ready to do. But quickly, Ujwal, why don't we just show the community how the application works? We'll go over one more time with JC. JC, I think you'll notice a lot of improvements, right, to both the report quality as well as just the general user interface. So go ahead, Ujwal. Let's share screen and look at that. So here's our revised dashboard. Thanks to Ujwal and the team, it's constantly looking better.
Nice.
We've also implemented English and Spanish. We've translated the whole site for our Mexican client friends. And we're doing some really cool stuff in Mexico, JC. I think it probably would have saved us a lot of pain had we had access to some of these tools. And there's some sensitive data, so we might edit it out of the video, but I'll show you also our SAT integration. So what we've done recently is we've integrated with the Mexican government to actually pull corroborating data and the Mexican government is an amazing resource, right? They track all the invoices that companies issue, right? So it's not just tax filing, but also invoice reporting. So you can create like a comparison with the audited financial statements or even the non-audited statements, depending on the type of company, because most Mexican companies don't necessarily have audited statements. And you can compare that to data from the tax authorities. So we'll show this to you as well. But Ujwal, yeah, why don't we look at the core product real quick and we'll run an analysis for Tata Steel UK, a public company in the UK. So this is how the system works in terms of how you upload financials, right? So Ujwal is going to reach into a folder. It could be a Google Drive. It could be anything. You can also, drag and drop for folks who might not be as computer literate. You just grab a file and you bring it into this upload documents portal here. So what we're doing now, that contract analyst is just an additional tool. You can use the system to read contracts and extract data from it. But here we'll choose our standard US model and we'll continue here. So now all the analyst has to do, you see here, there's a lengthy audit report, which will explain how we capture data from the longer audit report and the notes of the financials. But what Ujwal is going to find is the balance sheet and the income statement. And we can also automate this aspect, but obviously if you're spending, half a day spreading financials, I don't think you mind clicking, what the balance sheet is, right? So Ujwal found the income statement, and here's the balance sheet. Now, obviously, for the purpose of this kind of public demonstration, we have to use public financials. But I think the biggest benefit of this, and it was pointed out by your credit team, is just the ability to do ad hoc analyses on private companies. Right. So and also one thing why we chose this financial statement too is that the scan quality is pretty poor. Right. So, you don't need text readable scans. You don't need, a PwC audit and very clear, basically item accounts. You can just, even if it's poor quality, we've gotten really good at the OCR. And our process works with even handwritten documents in certain use cases. So, so Ujwal now is initiating the analysis. And once it's successful, the system takes it up and it starts a processing time. So we'll spare you the 3 or 4 minutes and we'll show you a live file.
Evan, I'll just have to dive into the other account. I think I have to start.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Oh, JC, can we just show JC our revised website really quick? He'll love that. Just in a
Oh
second,
yeah.
if it's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think you've seen this yet, JC. So this is all to Ujwal's credit.
Nah, the operating system for consumer credit.
Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool. I love it.
Yeah, thanks, JC. Some of our great clients. Yeah,
Oh, look at that. That's fancy, man.
yeah, thanks.
So
And
interactive too.
yeah,
Huh?
our tech partners. No, all the credit to Ujwal and the team. Yeah, so we're 10 engineers strong now, JC, and the team is really, doing well. I mean, we've been fortunate to have some great early clients that have pushed us with, real use cases. So we feel lucky, the type of complexity, and it's really now only getting better. For Kafka included, we've also had in our offer the ability to customize the model. So I think that's a real selling point. Ujwal, so let's show the spreads, and then we'll explain to JC, for this counterpart, how we can also customize all of this. But we've done this for large businesses, also smaller businesses, Mexican businesses. But basically, the output that you see on the right side of the application, which is the spreads,
Yeah.
and this very lengthy PDF will load shortly. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, here we go on the right side, the spreads. Cool. So this model, I mean, obviously this would be somewhat standard. You would see this. I think most banks in Latin America, that look at distribution are pretty accustomed to this type of breakdown, or this type of model, you could call it. And we could go line by line. We kind of like to play around and bet people 1,000 to 1 in terms of any specific number, right, on the page. So our data accuracy, just in terms of choosing the number, getting the number right, is extremely high, right? So now we're approaching 100% in terms of just that number being accurate. And if you see, JC, in each cell, the AI gives you its logic, right? So in the early iteration of the application, we just produced the spreads. Okay, occasionally there were errors, but now what we're doing is we're showing the precise mapping, right?
Okay.
So you can see in every cell the logic of the AI, why it chose to put that number where. Intergroup borrowing, retirement. And sometimes this is particularly helpful if you have an account. This is some retirement account where it basically added some provisional components as well as the core asset account into this one. So the AI will take some discretion. Obviously, we're creating a degree of standardization. So then sometimes there's aggregation, and that's really annoying for the analysts if they don't know how the AI is thinking.
Yeah, no, that's key because then it breaks it down, and then you need to know what the AI did
Absolutely.
ultimately.
Not just matching the numbers, but understanding kind of this logic.
Yeah, why are you saying that's that's it's a short-term liability instead of a long-term liability?
Absolutely. And then the analyst also has their own discretion. They can remove any cell in here. Luckily, we've worked with some great analysts that have explained to us also what their common workflows are. Like typically, folks search for depreciation, right? Obviously, because they're trying to create the most accurate EBITDA number. You don't always find depreciation as a component of COGS, right? It could be hidden somewhere in a cash flow statement, right? Or it's a balance sheet entry. And so you can break it out through the notes of the financials, right? And then you can kind of subtract, like, I mean, this is just a little bit of accounting I've learned in this, journey, right? So if you're a fabrication facility, depreciation comes as a component of COGS, right, JC? So like,
Yeah.
let's say you're producing widgets. Every time you produce a widget, there's some depreciation on the plant asset, but the analyst might want to break that out, right? So that's where you can use this inbuilt assistant that we have. And we've also, thought about some prompts for you. But this is kind of Truffle's solution to the notes and the audit report, right? Is that you can search the file and we'll show you go ahead, Ujwal, you can, search for something or ask for a note account or a breakdown of receivables. So this is the audited statement of cash flows. I'll show you how we address the cash flow statement, right? But go ahead, Ujwal, you can prompt something and then we can look through the PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like your kind of companion to drill into the notes. And obviously, with a public company like Tata UK Steel, there's a ton of information in the notes and the audit report, right? So we perform a separate type of data capture called a RAG, retrieval augmented generation, on the notes and the audit report. And this assistant can go ahead and find anything for you, and it even creates indexes so you have a little footnote that you can reference back to. So once the system finds something, obviously this financial statement is 74 pages, right? So just searching for
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, it just exactly. You spend a couple of hours trying to allocate that. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. So once it does that, and I mean, there are going to be, I feel like, a million references here. Yeah, intergroup funding. I agree with this company. I mean, I know you haven't looked at this credit, right? But Tata UK. Oh, and here are those cool hyperlinks that we create. So basically, you can just zoom around, and this is the reference, right? Just by clicking this link.
Financing costs doubled. Parent company. Yeah, wow.
So the
Excellent.
parent company is very much involved because the company is currently loss making. It has negative cash flow from operations, right? And they've had to phase out certain older plants due to environmental concerns. So these are all things that we can drill into in terms of finding in the notes and really augmenting your analysis grounded in the information from the notes, which is then auditable through the system because it creates the source references. So another cool thing, and Ujwal, did we generate a report? Yeah.
Yes,
Awesome. So JC, this is how this is coming along now. And obviously this started in a very kind of rudimentary form, but we've got it to a place that we feel pretty good about it. Referencing one of our clients who used to work for Scotiabank, they said, this looks like exactly the analysis report we used to make at Scotiabank. So
It looks even better. What are you talking about?
yeah, thanks, JC. No,
Damn.
so I mean, can you imagine you have to produce sales side research, things like that, right? Or internal research for stakeholders. Now, obviously you might not, and also this then collaborates with the internet, right? You can find a lot of things in the public domain. So basically what we're doing here is we're triggering a combination of searches, a combination of finding data within the audit report and the numbers. Also,
Yeah, you're like integrating everything there.
yeah, trying to
Awesome.
bring everything together. And just like the spreads that we can customize, like obviously we track certain ratios. We do, let's say, cash flow a certain way. We actually don't extract the audited statement of cash flows because if you have a management period, you might not have a cash flow statement. So what we can also do through the system is basically align the difference or the change in asset and liability values to reconcile beginning and ending period cash, and we do that automated through the system. Okay.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, so that's how we address cash flow. But we've had clients say, hey, why don't you do projections as well? So we're working on all these things, and you can really create some customization, which is also very efficient in terms of pricing, because for us, it's very much last mile engineering, right? So if, let's say, you have a different credit model, you want to track different parameters, it's really bespoke to the credit team. And this allows clients, we don't have really any ego about this. You can even white label this solution, right? And really make it yours by instituting your own structure of your investment memo and how you want the financials to be spread.
Yeah, no, the head of credit is actually going to present this to their board. Can just say, well, listen, I use my resourcefulness and my team to come up with this report.
Absolutely.
And yeah, he's going to look like a champ. They're going to think he worked 2 weeks putting this together.
Yeah, I think no, I mean, our friend Sandra, who I'll definitely try to induce to have a call with us. I mean, he and I worked on this format, mostly him. He's really the guy that loved producing, these amazing reports. And so we drew on a lot of his experience as well, to create a solid format. But again,
Yeah, it's very comprehensive. I mean, you're covering pretty much all the points that you want to address.
that's what
Wow.
we're trying to do, yeah. And things that are also really annoying, like a macro analysis, industry analysis. Here you can get a lot of content that's well sourced, right? Maybe the writing's a little bit robotic. I know that everyone focuses on business communication, but it's getting much better. I mean, I think the early iteration of this, it's just night and day to where we are now. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's only going to
I
improve.
can see that. I can see that. Evan, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks, JC. No,
Nah,
appreciate
nah,
that.
good job, man. This is no,
No,
it's the future. It's
yeah,
definitely
a lot of
the
credit.
future is now.
Yeah, futures now. And even through this little AI assistant that we have, you can obviously export this into Word, and the analyst is going to want to make this into his own, right? So you can
Yeah,
keep
of
this as,
course, he's gonna change some wording around, basically. But I mean, you've done 95% of the work here already.
yeah, I remember one of our early clients when we instituted this program. I promised to the business decision maker 70% automation, and I agree. We're pushing now 90% for sure. And the spreads accuracy, whereas in the beginning, maybe we struggle, you encounter a different presentation and so forth. Now, I mean, we've encountered so much data through our journey that it even changed oh no, yeah, see, it's all in Spanish
Sí,
now.
periodo de análisis, periodo reciente generado. Yeah, it's all in Spanish now.
Yeah, so you can translate it into Portuguese or go in the reverse, from a Portuguese audit report to an English report.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty cool, huh?
No, I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to check up on the Geneva team to see what's going on with our direct involvement with the
Yeah.
project and see what's
No,
going on. But this
thanks.
is a really impressive, really impressive. Wow, you guys have come a long way, huh?
Thanks, JC. Yeah, no, I mean, the team has worked really hard and we've had great clients that, really push us. But, talking about the Geneva team, I think one of the challenges of the space and almost why it's easier to work with non-banks and smaller, companies sometimes is because, most AI implementations fail. The vast majority of implementations fail. So implementation is not to be underestimated. Teams have to take a lot of time. How does this integrate with systems? So I get that. That definitely takes time, even if someone
Yeah.
wants to start using it right away. But what we do, especially for smaller companies, we come in, we do all the cloud work, we do the cybersecurity work, we set up your own servers for you, and you can choose your geographies for that. So we do a lot of the heavy lifting from an IT perspective. We work with teams that don't even have a dedicated IT resource, and we can come in, not only provide value through a product like this, but also help them deploy it, understand it, use it, and organize their data.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, it's like a one-stop shop service for them. They don't even need to have a proper department to analyze. You come in, you organize them, and the analysis will get done. The data will be stored, and I guess all the tools will be provided to make those decisions. So
Thanks.
impressive.
Thanks a lot. Now I'll just show you one more thing, and you've been so generous with your time, right? So Ujwal, let's just show the SAT, and maybe we edit out, the final video, some things, right? But yeah, I'll just show you this, JC, and This is something that one of the clients of ours requested, right? So when you do the model, and that client also has a custom model, right? So they know their market intimately, right? And they wanted to spread financials basis their client type, which is fantastic, right? And
Hmm.
for this same company, we've also created this really cool tool that generate link that we saw briefly. That was so that you can send to a borrower a link so they can input their very confidential and private SAT credentials. So that's like entering your EIN. Obviously, in the US, we're not so maybe advanced that you can see so much through an online portal about tax filings. But in Mexico, like I said, they capture a lot of data, right? So, Ujwal, are we loading this?
Yeah, I think it could be my internet concern.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, Mexico's very advanced.
yeah.
They've
No,
got
so
everything online, and if you get into credit trouble there, it's
oh,
that's it. They will shut you down.
yeah, totally. So yeah, we'll try to resolve.
I will try. This is a new browser. This is the Chat GPT browser. Actually, I think it's having issues on my system. Yeah.
Got it. No problem. Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Yep. Loads
And
much faster than the other one.
okay, great. Yeah, I was feeling like our website loaded a little slow as well.
Hmm. Okay. Maybe this is not the. So I'm just trying to figure out which is the
No,
file on which I did the data pull.
I
Just
know
a
I
second.
sprung it on you.
Yes.
I just think it's so because I mean JC, I mean some of our certainly we would have caught frauds before they happened in Mexico that we experienced,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah, I sold it to Walmart, is like the standard phrase, in Mexico. But you can actually verify now, did they sell it to Walmart? Right? How much are they invoicing Walmart Mexico? Right? So let's say you're looking at a financial statement and they're showing, dollar adjusted $300 million in sales. You can actually, you say,
Verify
okay,
that.
yeah,
You
you
can
can
verify
say,
that.
yeah, sorry, I think it's an issue with maybe Ujwal's internet. But yeah, you can basically, say, hey, well, prove it. Just input your data here, and
Oh yeah, no, I mean, Evan, I mean the oil guy that we used to work with. I mean, you could just go in and he just claims all these Pemex receivables. We would have been able to see exactly how much was actually done and everything. No
totally.
more trusting people. You can actually verify.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can verify. And the reason, I mean, also just, wanted to show the team created some really cool like charts to basically graph this data. But yeah, I think maybe Ujwal's having an issue here.
There's some
Right, and
problems.
I think we pushed something very recently on the SAT.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
No problem.
Okay.
We're actually, JC, our next step here, again, to just the organization and technology happening in Mexico, we're doing this also for court searches. Okay. We're doing this for collateral management, right? In the sense that when you give a pledge, you can even pull that data from the government, right? So
Okay.
you can see, let's say you're doing some type of secured financing, right? You can check, okay, does this company have, existing liens, things like that.
Evan, let me ask you. I mean, obviously, all this government data is public domain, no? So anybody can
Well,
access it.
so to some extent, that's true. But for the juiciest data, what you do is you get the borrower to input. We don't have access to it, right? The lender, especially the user on the other side of the credit, doesn't have access to it. But the borrower can input their credentials. And what we do is we then download all the data for the lender.
Okay. All right. That's the way it works.
So it's like basically a tropicalization of like real-time data, I mean, what's more trustworthy? And we know this, everyone, there's typically some discrepancy between the financials and the tax data, right? So it really gives the analyst in one UI, hey, I've developed a view based on historical data. What is the current data? Right? If I'm looking at a company that's claiming 100 million revenue, right? Is that company really doing 30 million in revenue? And that's how
Yeah.
you find frauds before they happen.
Yeah, no, no, exactly. It's you automatically will be doing this now, just to
So
make sure that whatever they're presenting you matches up with what's out there in the domain. If it doesn't, huge red flag,
huge red flag.
and that's it. Either they explain it away, or you go on to the next deal.
No, 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's, it. We've got it. I mean, delightful chat as always, JC. Thanks so much, for
No,
taking the
listen,
time.
I'm sure this is basically you guys gonna kick ass with this. And just count on me. If you need, if you get the internet issue sorted out, happy to have it on the call next week.
Oh, amazing, JC. So kind of you. And yeah, I mean, tell us also, think about it. If there's any particular data for your markets, right, that you want to see, that's something we're actively doing, right, as well, because all the data can be brought into that agent that we showed you that's reading the notes, right? Not only can it search the internet, and find things, it'll read the notes, it'll read the audit report. But if there are even private or gated data sources, we can try to bring those in, right, through the client login. So, let's say you're accessing something really cool that you pay for, we can try to do an integration and bring that data directly into the agent.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do. I am we're working on a couple of things right now. I think I've told you some big sugar financing, inventory financing in Mexico,
Oh, awesome.
where we're going to be hopefully receiving a lot of data that we'll have to verify. So,
Yeah. Love
I'll
that.
think about this for sure.
Thanks, JC.
All
Awesome.
right.
Well, great speaking with you, JC.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
calling you too, Evan. Take
Thanks.
care, guys. All
All
right.
right.
Have a
Bye,
good day.
JC. Bye.
Bye.
JC.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.